Greetings, everybody. This will be the Aaron Cole back with Intel Xeon E5-2690v4 HP Z440 with an RTX with a fixed RTX 2070 Super. It's got 64 gigs of RAM. It's got 14 cores and 28 threads. Let's see, it's running Windows 11 right now. See, we got the Xeon 2690v4, 2.6 gigahertz, 64 gigs of RAM. That's what we're running. And the Super, of course, Windows 11 Pro, yada, 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 etc., etc. So we installed Cyberpunk here. We're just going to see how it does with the ray tracing on Ultra, just for fun. It can't run it, I know that. Not at 60. It can run it, but not at 60. Let's see, launcher here. Press play. And we're just going to see how it runs. I don't even know if my other machine can do it on Ultra or not. My other machine's a Ryzen 7 5800X with a 3070 Ti. So, we're gonna run the benchmark. It's got a built-in benchmark. We're gonna make sure everything is setting. We're not gonna run with path tracing though, because we definitely can't run that. So, I just want to see what it'll do with the ray tracing on Ultra. Everything else turned up all the way, and no scaling, no DLSS. So we're gonna try that here. Let's see, settings, and we go to graphics. See here, we got it set to custom. The resolution scaling is off, so there's no frame generation or anything like that. Texture quality is high as it'll go. You can see it doesn't go any higher than that. It's just high. Some things go to high, some things go to ultra. The ray tracing is on, but it's on ultra. So that's really crazy. The path tracing we're going to leave off because that'll be like 10 frames a second or something. Something that's really low. Field of view is on. The grain, I don't like film grain most of the time. Everything is as high as it'll go or on ultra. You know, so it's either high or ultra because that's just as high as it goes. So it doesn't go any higher than that, except for the path tracing because not even my other machine can do that. So this one's not going to do that. So we run the benchmark, and I'm expecting maybe 30 frames a second, maybe, on average, maybe. I'd be doing pretty good if it got that. But I'm not even expecting that. I'm not expecting it to be playable at like this. So this is just showing what it can do when you pump up things. You know, see, look at that. We're not even quite getting 30. We're close, though. You can see here, the temperature is good. Temp is 60. Boost clock is good. 1905, 1990. CPU's raging on a single core, 3.2 gigahertz almost. It just doesn't have what it takes to do it at 60 with the ray tracing all the way up. With a different card, it might be able to. I don't know. Because then you're going to run into a CPU bottleneck pretty soon. So, like if I put like a 3070 Ti in, I think that would be. It starts to run into a CPU bottleneck. So, well, I mean, the highest card I would put in here is something like a 3060 Ti or a 2080 Super or a 2080 Ti, but it's only got a 750 watt. Okay, so we got 29 on average. That was with everything pumped up to the max. It's still got 29, so not playable. What we're going to do, the only thing we're going to change is we're going to turn the ray tracing down to low, or no, to medium. We're going to turn it to medium, and we're going to run it again. We're going to apply it. And we're going to run the benchmark again and see what the difference the ray tracing makes. Because the ray tracing is what's killing our rendering performance. If you're having trouble playing a AAA title and your computer's not up to snuff, try turning the shadow quality down first. Try using resolution scaling. If none of that works, turn off the ray tracing. Just turn it off. It's not worth it. See, I turned the ray tracing down and the frame rate hasn't gone up hardly at all. It's still pretty much virtually the same. So it's the ray tracing that's killing the performance here. The ray tracing is like a certain way of showing light I can't go into the details right now because I don't have anything written out on it or anything, but I know that path tracing is a little more advanced and a little more processing heavy than ray tracing, but it's also more realistic. It's just a fancy way. It's a lighting technique is what it is. A lighting technology or technique with the lighting. There are different RTX or ray traced lightings. Like they have different ones. Like they have one for like the light for the world. They have ones for spotlights. They have one for reflections, like mirrors and stuff. So the frame rate was a little higher, like 1 FPS. So now the next test we should do then is to turn the ray tracing completely off. So let's turn off the ray tracing. We'll apply it and we'll run the benchmark. I have higher hopes this time that we're going to get a playable frame rate. As you can see, we're above 60 now on the highest settings without the ray tracing. You're not going to notice it look much different. You really aren't. You're not going to get a tremendous drop. You're not going to get a texture quality drop or anything like that. It's just the way the light is rendered. You may be able to tell a difference. Some people can tell right away. Some people can't. Really, I can't see much of a difference right now myself. It looks the same as the last runs I've done. Only I can play it now. It's above 60. I can play this game. You can see temperatures are still good. 70°C, beautiful. 71°C, still beautiful. And a well above 60 frame rate so far. Oh, man. Oh, didn't make it to 59 though. Still stayed at 60. And that was on the highest settings. The average at 71. Its minimum was 60.48, so it's playable on the highest settings without the ray tracing. Okay, so now we could do other things like to increase that. Like if we turn on the super resolution now. We'll turn super resolution on and we'll turn it to quality. Turn the sharpening to 1. We'll apply that. And you're not going to notice much of a difference, but we are going to get a higher frame rate by doing this. You notice we had a minimum of 60.48 last time and an average of 71. Well, we've just turned on NVIDIA's dynamic link super sampling, or dynamic layer super sampling, I forget what it is. We were firing up the benchmark here. Now we started off in the 70s last time. Now we're in the 80s. So we're about 10 to 12 FPS higher maybe. Even more playable than it was before without really much loss in image quality. You may or may not notice it. Some people do, some people don't. Usually you have to take still photos and really compare them side by side to really notice a difference. But when it's all said and done and things are in motion and moving around, you're not going to notice any reduction, but you are going to get an increase in performance. Performance being your frame rate. As you can see here, if we have the frame time is 11 milliseconds. That's not bad. It's not too bad. Preferably, I like it around 10 or lower, but for playing a single-player game like this that isn't competitive and isn't an esport, it's just fine. It's a playable, enjoyable experience. Now we're going to get a frame drop here. Last time we dipped nearly to 59. As you can see, it's nowhere near that this time. It was much more playable. On the highest settings again, the frame rate average was 81 this time. We gained 10 frames. And the minimum was 7 frames higher. So that's really good. That's really good. The maximum was 93 frames per second. Temperatures are very good. It's not got a load on it, so I think that will conclude the test. You get an idea of what this thing can do.